What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs got good and bad news prior to the AFC Championship game showdown with the Buffalo Bills taking place this weekend. And we'll get the bad news out of the way first, and that has to do with Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Mecole Hardman. And per Ian Rappaport on Twitter, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid tells reporters that wide receiver Mecole Hardman, who is attempting to return off IR after a knee injury, will remain there and won't play again this season. Now, while this is unfortunate for Mecole Hardman, who will now finish the season on IR for the second time in the last 3 years and won't be able to participate in the Kansas City Chiefs playoff run, the Kansas City Chiefs do have Nico Remigio, who has been in place of Mecole Hardman since he initially went on IR to begin with that same knee injury, and Remigio has put in good snaps for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been a very solid returner. He's been fielding return duties since Mecole Hardman has been gone, and we saw in that Houston Texans game, he had a massive kick return to open the game, and the Chiefs were able to get 3 points off of that and start fast. But also, Nico Remigio has done just enough at wide receiver to make you feel confident that he can fill the Mecole Hardman role. I mean, it's not like Mecole Hardman, even when he was healthy, was playing that many snaps or getting that much opportunity. And I think this move was just as much about Nico Remigio and what the Chiefs have in him as it was about Mecole Hardman and his injury. Because here's the deal at this point. If you waive someone like Nico Remigio and you really like him, he could end up on a different team. And that's a really risky thing to do at this time of the year. And Mecole Hardman, you can still stash him on IR. He's not going anywhere. But I don't think Mecole Hardman is enough of an upgrade necessarily over Remigio that you risk losing Remigio by waiving him so you can put Mecole Hardman back on the active roster. And so I think this was the correct roster decision for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they would have had to make a somewhat difficult decision in order to bring Mecole Hardman back. And I just don't think he's that much of an upgrade over Remigio that you risk losing him. And Mecole Hardman, it sucks for him, and I have given him his props this year, despite being someone that has been really tough on Mecole Hardman over the years. I thought he did a solid job as a returner this year. I thought he made mostly positive plays, and you couldn't always say that about him. He's someone that's been a turnover risk at times and has fumbled the ball in big playoff games, and it just feels like he's a little bit of a ticking time bomb for a turnover. So I'm perfectly fine with Remigio being the option there, and it's unfortunate for Mecole Hardman. You hate to end the season injured, especially after his playoff heroics from last year that everyone praises him for, and now he's not going to be on the field for any sort of attempt at a three-peat. But hey, it is what it is. Next man up, and the next man up is Nico Remigio, and I think he's been fine. Now that we got the bad news out of the way, let's get to the good news. And the good news is that everyone practiced for the Kansas City Chiefs on Wednesday prior to the Chiefs-Bills matchup for the AFC crown, and that's a really big thing. That's actually been a rarity this season that the Chiefs make it out of the game before with no injuries, unscathed, but that's exactly what happened. Now, there were a few players listed on the injury report, now all as full participants and not as having any issues, but that was left guard Mike Caliendo. He was listed with a shoulder, full participant. Patrick Mahomes is on there with that same ankle injury, but still listed as a full participant. Jawan Taylor with the knee, again, full participant. And then I think most importantly is Jalen Watson, the cornerback, listed as a full participant with the ankle. And the reason I say that is the most important is because he had no against the Houston Texans, but it was in a different role, and you didn't notice him nearly as much. And you're also still going to have to play someone as Jalen Watson eases his way back into the lineup. So, yeah, I mean, everything is kind of falling into place at the right time for the Kansas City Chiefs. You want Jalen Watson out there. This is the matchup where you really need him. And so his recovery process, it's really going to pay off, as he's going to be a key piece as to why the Kansas City Chiefs win this game, if they do win, of course. And I do want to address Patrick Mahomes being on the injury report real quick because I'm sure people are going to go, what the heck, why is he on there? Like, kind of a little bit of a freak out. Just know that anytime a player gets worked on for any length of time for an injury, that it does get reported on the injury report. And so if Patrick Mahomes said, I want to get worked on down there and I want my ankle taped for practice, then they're going to list him on there with that ankle injury. And that very well could have been the case because, let's not pretend that the ankle injury wasn't something that happened in the regular season. And yes, they just had a lot of time off, but they just played their first game in a long time, and the ankle could be responding differently to that than it typically would. And so maybe Mahomes is like, it feels a little tender today, or just to be safe, I would like to get it taped up, whatever. But, Patrick Mahomes is playing in this game. I don't think you'll notice any limitations. He didn't really have any limitations against the Houston Texans. I don't believe that to have changed between then and now leading up into the AFC Championship game. So while we got discouraging news on Mecole Hardman and he's not going to be returning at all this season, that was a possibility that we had braced for long ago, and the Chiefs have a viable replacement in Nico Remigio. But outside of that, it looks like they're going to be at full strength for the AFC Championship, and that's a great thing. Not every team can say that at this point in the year, but the Kansas City Chiefs are about as healthy as can be, and that's going to give them the best possible shot at knocking off the Buffalo Bills for the AFC crown for the third year in a row. So that's all I got today for you guys for good and bad news on the Kansas City Chiefs, but I want to hear from you guys down in the comments what your thoughts and your reaction is to today's Kansas City Chiefs injury update. All that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this, and make sure you check out my work on ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com for more. Also follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB. That's it from me. I'm signing off. I'll see you guys in the next one, but as always, go Chiefs!